Detailer's Roadmap Cruise Control, where we navigate the roadways of life, business, and everything in between. Hey guys, it's Kevin Davis from Cruise Control Podcast, brought to you by Detailer's Roadmap, and I'm here today with a good friend of mine, Kodie Hitsman of the Detail Shop in Spring Lake, Michigan. I'm not even going to give him a detailed bio because I'm going to let him tell it himself. I've known Kodie for probably like 7 years now. I don't know, 6 or 7 years.
It's been a while.
Yeah, and he's just an awesome dude. I love his business acumen. He's got better abs than me, which pisses me off. But
I don't know about all
that. I just love the way he runs his life too, and his family and fatherhood. And I want to talk more about that. But hey, man, thanks for coming on board. I appreciate you.
Oh, absolutely, man. I appreciate you having me. So this is definitely this is awesome. I'm excited. It's be a good time.
Awesome. So, hey, one of the things I ask every guest is basically give me your detailing superhero backstory, right? Like you've got this pretty extensive backstory.
Okay.
Both like, I mean, if you want to talk about military service and all that, share as much as you want to share or don't want to share, but I want to give people kind of the context of how we built a successful detailing business, right? And so if you want, just share that backstory with us. Take as long as you want.
Okay. So I guess we'll start. I did a quick stint in the Army, a little time there. I got out of the Army and then I started working for a friend at a local shop. It kind of gotten to the point where I was literally doing the scheduling and dealing with the customers and all that kind of stuff. So I took a chance on myself and went out and decided to do it for myself. And that's kind of where I started. I started small and then kind of got into the coding world. And that's how I met you with G-Technic through those guys. I think it was, we took the same accreditation class, I believe, is what we were doing.
Yeah.
At AMP there. And then just through, I don't want to say talent, but maybe more so luck, dumb luck, maybe a little bit sometimes. I got in with all the right people, and I've gotten to do some pretty amazing things with some pretty amazing people, and I'm just super thankful for all the opportunities that I've been had. So it's been a good time. So yeah,
what's the primary business that you're running now? Like because you have a pretty varied business, because I know you do marine and you do high-end cars and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So right now we're trying to become a one-stop shop. Where we're starting to offer vinyl or color change wraps. We're doing the ceramic coatings on both cars and marine, like you said. We're doing window tint now and PPF. So we just want to be able to, for our customers to come in, drop their car off or whatever it may be, and whether they want tint, PPF, ceramic, they can just get it all done and then go on their merry way. And that's just kind of the idea right now. So it seemed to go well, but yeah.
What's that transition look like from like you first started and kind of getting started and then continuing to grow over and over again? I know sometimes people get kind of in a big hurry with that. I know, like from you telling me, I know you ended up on the marine side with some very high-end clients.
Yes.
So like, I don't know how that built your business, and just kind of walk us through that transition. Cause I think a lot of guys, especially like how you went about it to be methodical, deliberate, logical versus like, hey, I need a 10,000 square foot shop. I'm just going to go for it. Right.
Right. So, I mean, I did kind of take it a little bit slower. I definitely just grew as we needed, and I never really, I guess, maybe overstretched or took a bigger reach than I needed to. So we went from we started in about a 1,500 square foot shop, and then once we kind of outgrew that, and we couldn't really get any more cars in for what we needed, we went into the second shop, and that shop was about I believe it was about 5,000 square feet. And that allowed us to fit some of the bigger go fast boats that we were doing at the time. And we were also doing, multiple cars at a time. And then, after that, we were spending a lot of money on rent. And then we just took the leap and decided to buy a building because it made more sense to actually pay a mortgage on something that was going to, pay dividends in the future. If heaven forbid we ever decide to like just upsell the building or whatever you want to do or move on with something else. But the building we're in now, it's broken down into So we have a nice showroom that can fit about 4 cars in the showroom. And then we have individual bays right now. So we have a bay for our ceramic coating. We have a bay for our PPF. We have a bay for our vinyl and window tint. And then we have 2 bays for detailing. Well, one is technically detailing, and then the last bay is kind of like an overflow bay for vehicles not picked up or whatever it may be. So, but it's a good shop. Still a little few odds and ends. We've got a button up on it, but it's coming along nicely. So,
And
but yeah,
how long have you been in that shop?
we bought the shop last November, so we're just going on a year now. So,
Okay.
as far as getting into the high end boat customers and that kind of stuff, that was something that just kind of happened. I guess more dumb luck in a way. I went to school with a gentleman that was captaining a bigger yacht, and that's how we got in with that stuff. And that ended up being our first big job. We were doing plenty of like smaller go fast boats and stuff before that, but this was like it was a 94-foot Persian, and it was like a $15 million boat at the time. And that kind of yeah. So that kind of we did a lot of social media for that. So we did Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff, and we did some reels and some videos of it. And then once people started to see that, then we got into like some more of the higher end boating world. And we're actually trying to do some stuff right now. We've been in talks for probably the last week and a half with a captain down in the Keys for a 104-foot yacht. So we're hoping everything can work out with that and go do that. But that'll be even bigger than the Persian, width wise, height wise. I mean, and length overall. So that'll be a nice project. But I mean, it's definitely worth it.
And what's funny is you'll say, yeah, some of the smaller go fast boats. I mean, describe in your world what a small go fast boat is, but how much it costs.
So a smaller go fast boat here. When we say that stuff, I refer to like fountains or cigarettes or those kind of boats, and they're usually anywhere from like 30 foot up. They tend to be on the higher end, like into the higher 30s and 40s footers. But they're usually, anywhere from two to four motors. Even, sometimes they'll have, more than that. But yeah, we get to do some cool stuff, man. I'm always thankful for the opportunities we get and the people we get to work with, and it's definitely a blast. But yeah, there's some crazy boats out there. We have some we can't even take pictures of just because the customers don't want people knowing about them, which, at the end of the day is kind of a bummer because they're pretty exotic boats and such. But I mean, from the luxury boats to the go fast boats to even just, they'll call them cocktail cruisers. And those can get crazy as well. I mean, I think we did not long ago, I think it was a 30-foot cocktail cruiser, but it was like a $7 million boat just to tool around the lake and have cocktails with their friends on. So just silly stuff.
Yeah, because these are clients that like we would say, hey, I got this car, and I happen to have this car, and I happen to have this car, all which are all under 100,000 in my case, way under 100,000. But like these are like, yeah, I got this. I'm gonna bring you my third boat for the lake. And these are all $4 or $5 million huge boats, right? Like it's a whole different world.
Oh yeah, it's definitely like that upper echelon of society for sure, which is crazy because they just live a whole different way. Like $100 to us might be a good chunk of change, or even I don't even know how to compare it. Maybe $1,000, but like you give these guys a bill for say $20,000 or something silly, and it's a wash.
Yep,
It's
yeah, you take Venmo for that 25 grand.
Yeah, it's silly. It is, and it's crazy. But I've found for the most part that most of these guys are all pretty genuine for the most part. And when it comes to business and that kind of stuff, a lot of them will sit down, and if you want to chit chat business or whatever it may be, they're happy to do it. And it's definitely been pretty cool to be around some of those people because, like I said, it's just a different tier of society that you're dealing with. Like the one customer, like they're billionaires, so
Yeah.
Like I know when I was talking to him, they own like their own cruise line. They own part of a NBA basketball team. They own their own island. Like it's silly. And when you get to talk to those guys, you definitely want to listen because I mean they know their stuff. I mean they're just around it all day long. So
Yeah, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine the other day saying, "Hey, I've been and I call these people like these are the how did you get in here conversations."
oh
To where
yeah.
like at any point in time I'm having a conversation with someone of a caliber expertise and knowledge base to where I'm just kind of waiting for security to tap me on the shoulder and be
Yeah.
like, dude, you're in the wrong room. How did you
Yeah,
get in here?
we need some credentials. Yeah, can we see ID? Yeah, I feel like that a
But it's a
lot.
great opportunity, right? It's a great opportunity to sit and have
Oh,
conversations with those kind of guys.
oh, for sure. It definitely is. Because like I said, it's a different lifestyle. And I remember I was talking to one of our customers, and he was explaining to me, we had chit chatted about business a little bit, and he's like, "Yeah, I have one gentleman, and his sole job every day is to invest $1 million. Like that's what this guy $1 million a day. Like, and he has to do that every day for it's just
Which
mind
sounds
boggling.
like a great job, but I bet about 12 days into it, you're like, holy crap, this is hard. This is like,
Yeah,
that's a
yeah.
hard thing to do,
I
right?
feel like that would be super high stress for sure. Like trying
Yeah.
to, I mean, handling that much money for somebody and spending that daily, and investing
Yeah.
that properly. So
Yeah. Cause it's not just like, hey, we're going to go spend $1 million,
yeah.
which actually would be kind of hard in and of itself,
Oh,
just
for
because
sure.
of just the logistics of that. But like, he's trying to invest it both either altruistically or that kind of thing.
Hmm.
Are you good?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
He's trying to invest it that way and not like try to make good choices. So that's definitely got to be a hard thing. What? Go ahead.
No, you're fine.
Oh, I was
Say
going
it
to say
again.
what kind of things do you learn from those kind of guys? Because I had a conversation with a guy with the other day. I'm like, all right, so you're worth like these aren't billionaires, but these worth several $100 million, and he
Yeah.
had built the business from scratch, and I'm like, what? Let me ask you these two questions, right? Like, and so he answered those, and we kind of, he's kind of doing some mentoring for me, which is pretty exciting. But what kind of things are you learning from those guys?
Um, we usually just chit chat, like beginnings and how they got to where they're going. And some of these guys, it's all family wealth, but
Mm-hmm.
a lot of them, I just, I'm the usual questions like how and what should I do or that kind of stuff, and a lot of it just goes back to just being meticulous or just learning your craft and staying in that lane and being the best you can be. And then, on top of that, they're like, don't ever stop learning, but I mean, I feel like everybody should do that. Like once you stop learning,
Yeah,
you're just going to stop bettering yourself in general, but just things like that. And it's all common sense, sadly, which isn't so common anymore, but yeah, it's, I mean, but yeah, it's being meticulous, having an actual love or caring about what you do, and then just don't stop learning. It is a lot of it, and then
yeah,
they'll get into some of the money stuff and that's kind of where me as a commoner per se is. I'm just like, okay, I'll listen, but this isn't really my realm, so I just it's all fun combos for sure. So
yeah, yeah. So are you still doing boats? You're still doing these boats now, then, or are you trying to be more selective?
um we are being, I guess, more selective in a way, um because you will get like some of these people in the boating world that are not actually, I guess, they're, how do I put this in a nice way? They're trying to peacock, I guess, per se, and they don't really have the money to back up what they're doing. So then it becomes a headache to
Oh,
deal with
okay.
some of the people. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
we've kind of been selective, and we stay with the people we have. Or if we get like a referral from somebody that we've worked with, and then they send someone our way, we can usually in good faith take that customer on. But definitely being more selective with the boating world. Um, The car's kind of the same way. We've kind of gotten to the point where we can pick and choose what we want to do. But I mean, we definitely do everything still. It's it's all money at the end of the day. I like my
Yeah.
money, so I want to retire sooner than later. So
And what are your evaluation? Like if you're saying, hey, I can pick and choose, because there's very few people that are in any business, especially in detailing, that can say, nah, I don't really want to do that car. Or I don't want to do that car. Or I've dealt with that guy before and I don't want anything to do with him. Like what kind of criteria are you
yeah.
using? Because I think that's something actually that we all should be doing in business. I used
Oh,
to, in my own, some of my business, I always called it the a-hole tax. Because like if you want to, if you're a certain type of client, you better be able to afford to be that kind of client, because
yep.
there's a certain tax. And in a lot of cases, especially me being my age now, like there's no money in the world that keeps me interested in dealing with that part of things, with those kind of people. But I'm interested in
Yeah.
your kind of strategy.
Well, it's just kind of an added stress too when you're dealing with people like that, and that's kind of where you got to be selective too. So no, usually, like there's certain jobs we won't take on anymore, but sometimes we will depending on the customer. But for the most part, if I just tell people, like, hey, I try to be nice about it, but like, we're probably just not the shop for you or something like along those lines, kind of like that. But we've stepped away from doing a lot of like. Which is silly because you probably could make good money on it. I just don't find any joy in doing it. The minivans and such things like that, and I just don't. Where you kind of need to do that stuff when you first start out, maybe, and we just. I'd rather polish paint all day long. That's my thing. If I could polish paint and do ceramic coatings, I'm a happy man. You know what I mean? I love,
Yeah.
I love that almost instant gratification, or that gratification you get from taking someone's worn out, oxidized, scratch, or whatever it may be kind of paint, and then you bring it back to life, and it's a brand new jewel or gem at the end of it, and it's looking fresh and reborn. So
Yeah, though you got to be careful around minivans, because I've talked many times about minivans being, they basically are the Crocs of the
oh
automotive world. Like when you drive them, they kind of suck the soul out from your body
oh yeah.
when you're. No offense to anybody that has a minivan, I see the utility in them, but I just think there's a lot better vehicles that have that same utility. But
Oh yeah.
no.
The stone goes where they went wrong. That's just turned it into like a big trash can on wheels, and unfortunately, a lot of
There you
people
go.
are sloppy. And I mean, it does. Like I said, there's money in it, but like, I'm just to the point where I appreciate you bringing the car to me, but I'm gonna pass. I'm gonna send it down the road because
Yeah.
there's just you almost have
And
to
do you have
charge.
shops?
Go ahead.
Do you have shops that you recommend for those people, or you're just like, hey, just good luck, kind of a thing?
No, yeah.
We talk about these like cooperative agreements within the market, and I'm not the right person, but this might be the right person.
Yeah. There's a few shops locally that I do recommend. And even if we're too busy at the time or something, or because the customer doesn't want to wait, we do recommend a few local guys that I would trust to do a good job on a vehicle and not do a customer wrong. So there are guys around. Unfortunately, there's a lot that I wouldn't recommend, but I mean, I feel like that's just the industry in itself. Like there's a lot of guys out there that just do our industry wrong and
Yeah.
make a bad name for us, and it kind of sucks because you got to make up for that with your shop. So.
Yeah. But I mean, that's a good point, that if you have to have guys that you can, or girls, whatever, you have to have shops that you can send those people to, because your name is still attached to it, right? Like even though
Yeah.
you're not even doing the work, but you're going to get blamed for sending that person.
I recommended it. Yeah, exactly. Yep.
This episode is brought to you by Detailer's Roadmap. Hey, spoiler alert, that's us. We all know you need a kick-ass website in order to be successful with your business. The good news is, at Detailer's Roadmap, kick-ass websites, that's kind of what we do. With the latest performance, designs, and SEO strategies, Detailer's Roadmap is your one-stop shop to be successful on the web. And don't forget, we have the best support team in the industry. Whether you're an existing partner looking to improve your lead generation or you need a brand new website, Detailer's Roadmap is here to help you be successful on the web. So go to detailersroadmap.com/success and get started today. That's detailersroadmap.com/SUCCESS.
Yep. So I like to make sure, they're educated, and there's quite a few guys around us that have been, around for a while, and I do trust. So, I don't really ever have to worry about that, thankfully.
That's nice.
So it definitely is, so we've got a nice little area of some guys around. So
that's cool. And what's your business structure now? I'd be like, how many employees do you have? You got, what did you say? Like you're at, how many square feet is the new one? 10?
I don't even know. I'd have to break it all down because it's all individual bays, but we're probably, we're maybe close to 10, if not 10 for sure. It's pretty big. I mean, it's a big building. So it used to be a oil change, and then attached to the oil change, it was all like coin wash bays. So you've had 3 smaller coin wash bays, and then there's the 2 big ones for like maybe like a truck and a trailer, but you can, so there's a lot of space there. And then I actually, in the back parking lot, I own a nice chunk of land as well, which I eventually plan on putting like a taller pole barn or some kind of building like that on, so I can get the bigger boats and stuff in, or the RVs. Because right now we can't do the tall RVs because the doors on our shop aren't tall enough, which is
you gotta have that. You gotta have that 14. Got to have that 14-foot door at least with 60 to 20-foot ceilings, right?
Yeah. So, which getting into the new shop, it hasn't been bad, but I do like the money that the RVs and the boats, the bigger boats bring. So, I would like to get those back in the shop. That makes it easier because you can't do them all in the boat condos, because we do have a lot of those around us. There's they call them boat condos, which is just fancy heated boat storages.
Okay.
So we've got those, and then you've got the cold storage, but those are never fun to work in, but if need be, you got to just get in there and do it. So it is.
Yeah. It's not, I wouldn't, because you guys get super cold up there like we do. So, I mean, being out there in the cold is not fun, especially when you're doing any polishing or any of that kind of stuff, water or whatever. So,
Yep. It's, it makes for its own little challenge. So,
yeah. What's your staffing look like? What do you?
So right now it's myself. We have a window tinner, a vinyl guy, and I'm probably going to start bringing on a couple more detailers this winter here. I've got a few guys that have stopped in that they're showing some interest. So now that we've slowed back down, I can actually take the time to, I guess, train these guys right and get them on the right path. And I tend to look for guys that don't really have any skill either, because I don't want to have to break habits of like maybe a prior shop or someone else's, so but yeah, we've got a few guys I'm going to probably bring in, and then that should lighten the load on myself a little bit. And then but yeah, it's just a couple of us right now, and we're just having a good time with the shop and having fun. So you're working on the business and in the business at the same time, right? But you kind of get to do what the things that you enjoy. Yes. Yeah. So like, I'm doing right now, I'm doing the PPF and the coatings, which PPF is new to me. I've only been doing that for, maybe a year now, something like that. But it's been fun. Definitely something else to learn, and you have to be constantly doing that or you're not going to progress with it. And there's all these little, it's almost like correction. It's just, you're learning things along the way as you go, or these little tricks here and there, with certain things. But yeah, it
almost seems like it would be harder from a PPF standpoint because the variability is so much greater. And I don't know how to do PPF. I never have. But I would think like you have a car that comes in like a Lambo that has a lot of straight panels. Pretty stiff angles, and then you come out and try to do full PPF on this Cobra of mine, and you're like, oh, this entire thing is round.
It'd be nice though, because it's round. Yeah.
Well, the only problem with this car is that unless you have a 14-foot by 9-foot piece of PPF, you have to have a line. because there's no
Seam
brakes. Yeah,
Okay.
you'll always
that
have a
does make sense
seam
because it's
because
one
there's
big
no
body.
natural, because it's got a unibody and all that. So there's nothing. That's why I actually haven't wrapped it, because it's
Yep.
just such a,
Yep.
I don't want the seam. But with correction, right? Like, you're still dealing with, variability in paint, of course, but there's only so
Yeah.
much variability there. And most of the panels are pretty, you have a fender and a hood and a trunk and a roof, and, everything's a lot more standard.
Yeah. Yeah. You get your measurements and you go to town with what you can do on each panel and just keep going. Yeah. No, it's definitely nice. So yeah, and that Cobra of yours is a super nice car. So I'm surprised you still
Yeah,
have it.
I know. I tried to sell it a couple of times, but I can't bring myself to do it. And I'll be honest, I didn't drive it at all this year, and
Okay.
it makes me feel bad. But it kind of sits there. It's like a very expensive piece of automotive art, is the way I describe it. But
Yeah. No, I
yeah,
understand that all too well. I do.
yeah.
That was like my
I do
Corvette. It
want to talk.
just sat in the
I do
shop.
want to talk about your vet, because the last time I saw you, last time we actually hung out and spent time together, you were talking about that. Talk to me about, like, let's put this in context, right? Like, you talked
Mm-hmm.
about goal setting for your business, which I think is super important. Walk me
Mm-hmm.
through kind of the goals that you've set for your business, because I think that C8 represents kind of like, this was this huge goal that I knew that I wanted to get, and like, you kind of made it happen. And so in business, like, I talk about like celebrating wins and having long-term goals and daily goals and all that, but like this like, I want to buy this car
Yeah.
is a pretty damn big goal, right? Walk me through. I'd like, just kind of walk me through how that whole process and thought process went, how you got to the car, and then we'll talk about the fact that you got rid of it and got a different car. But
Oh yeah. Yeah. So I don't keep them very long.
yeah.
I've always wanted a Corvette, and I'm kind of a nut with when it comes to the Corvettes, and they've always were meant to be a mid-engine vehicle since
Mm-hmm.
Zora designed them back in the day. And when I found out years ago that it was even a possibility of being a real car, I knew, like, when I had the chance, I was going to get one. So I kind of just started taking proper steps that way. Like, I sold my Harley at the time, and I just started kind of stashing money away. And then it finally came out, and they did that. I think it was a Thursday night. They released it on TV, and they kind of said, they unveiled it and everything, and then they started taking orders. And that night, I quick jumped online and I reserved one, and I ended up getting one. But yeah, I mean, it was a big goal for me because it's something I always wanted. So it was kind of, it was bittersweet in a way because I did all this work, and I kept myself from, like, going out and doing all these things that, like, a normal person probably would do, and made those sacrifices in a way because I'd have friends and everything that weekend comes, they're going out and having fun, and that wasn't me. I was working and I was hanging out with my kids and my family, and then we were doing stuff with the family, but which is amazing. I love my kids to death. Um, but there was no other extracurricular activities for me because I had my mind
Yeah.
set on this car and I knew I was going to get it. And so yeah, I ended up getting pretty lucky. I got a first year C8. I was supposed to get it in March of 20, and because of COVID at the time, I didn't get it until I think it was October-ish that year.
Mm.
But we got
Did it
it,
have all the
and
Did it have all the switches and stuff? They were
oh,
shipping those cars. The GM was shipping cars with like no seat heater switches and all
oh,
this
there was
other
a lot of
stuff
stuff.
at the
Yeah,
time.
because at that time we were doing a lot for the dealership, so we would actually go and pick them up, and we were doing. I feel like for our area, we did pretty much every one that came into our area right away, even some like out of the area. Um, we would legit just go to the dealership, pick them up, throw them in the trailer, bring them back to the shop, and either do PPF and ceramic or PPF, all that stuff. But yeah, most all of them had everything. One thing I did come to find with the C8 that the paint is super thin.
Mm. I think
Not no,
all GM paint now is pretty thin, isn't it?
yeah, you're running really low millage on that. So, but yeah, it was just it was, you got to be careful with it, and then just a 3-inch pretty much for that whole car, and it's a little time consuming, but it's the safe way to go about it with all the hard angles and everything in the vehicle itself.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a goal, and probably one of the proudest moments of my life, other than my kid's birth. But I remember I went into the dealership and went to pick it up, and it was pretty awesome little time I had, and got to unwrap the car and all that good stuff, and we
Oh,
brought it
nice.
home and went right to town on it. We did full body PPF, we did ceramic, um, and then we lowered it. Actually got some stuff from Ibach. They sent out their little coilover kit, and we lowered it, and then we did window tint all the way around, windshield and all. Um, and then I bought a pair of Vossens for it, and so we went from a 1920 combos to a 20 and 21. And then I went as wide as I could in the rear, and that was 21 by 12 and a half. And it was literally maybe like a pinky's width between the sidewall and the rear
Wow.
fender. There wasn't much gap there, but it was
And
fun.
is that like a 315, 335? What's the tire at 12 and a half?
I don't even remember. I think it was probably somewhere around there.
Okay.
I still have them. But yeah, I don't remember what the tire was. But yeah, it was a fun car, fun while it lasted. We took it on the rally when we couldn't get Jason's Miata finished in time, so that was a fun little adventure. It's definitely a driver's car. I was super impressed with it for sure. I had that one for.
It's not the jorts and New Balances and Corvette leather jacket kind of Corvette. Is that what you're saying?
I think they've kind of outgrown that one. Actually, I mean, I'm sure that's still a thing with those guys. Because you got that Corvette kind of stigma.
Yeah.
But yeah, they definitely did their due diligence with this one and making it, kind of supercar-esque or whatever you want to say. I know it hurt a lot of people's feelings, especially the price point of the vehicle when it first came out. But
yeah, and I mean, I've been around that car, and there's some things on it where you're like, oh yeah, this is why it's not, $1.2 million, right? Like there's a certain price point, but I've heard, and I've never driven one, but I've heard a lot of guys, a lot of owners and car people talk about the fact that like this is the most supercar-esque car that you can get anywhere close to this price point. Like they did a really good job on it.
Yeah. I thought it was a very well balanced vehicle for sure. I mean, especially going from that to my C5, because I had a C5 at the time too, and that was a little silly. That one was a full Texas speed build, E85 Pro Charge, and I think that was like 750 to the wheels.
Wow.
And just from that design of that vehicle to the newer one, it was a world of difference. But I mean, I had a love for both, because the C5 was almost like a muscle car, kind of chop, that old school cam, all that good stuff. And it was just a fun car to drive. But then you hop in the C8 and that's everything modern, and you can just, you don't have to worry about breaking loose or anything. You just go, you put your foot down and you're going. So
yeah. I wouldn't know anything about getting in a car and being like, is this going to kill me today or not going to kill me today? That's
I don't know. I feel like that Cobra could probably do a job.
Literally, and I've told this story before, but every time I get into it, after I haven't, actually almost every time I drive it, it scares the living crap out of me. Like it, like we'll take it, and I've got a long 2-lane stretch of road by my house. And so we can get it in, we can get pretty into it. And every time I stop, like my shaking, and it's just, some of those cars are crazy because it's as raw as you can possibly get. No top, side pipes, loud as hell, just smell like gas. You got to take a shower every time you drive it because it's got, open, the stacks, all that stuff. So, but
it's meant to be, though. I feel like that's kind of part of the nostalgia of it,
Yeah.
I don't know.
They're definitely fun. And that thing's 400 to the rear wheels. It weighs, 2,000 pounds. So it's
a little bit of,
so it gets up. It's trying to kill me, basically. It's funny because, we're not really, I love the conversation about cars, but I put 3 kill switches in that car because I don't want someone stealing it and killing themselves. Like the car's replaceable. That's, whatever. I'll just build another one. But like, it's a dangerous vehicle for someone to get into. No power steering. I did put power brakes in it. But like I drive this car and I'm like, oh, I just drove that car 180 1,840 miles an hour, and I know the idiot that built that thing. So like, that's stupid.
I mean, I think we've all been there though. We've probably driven a car far too fast than, much faster than we should have for sure. I know. I'm not saying I know a guy, but yeah, I did the same thing. Maybe, maybe
And
not.
what's the top
in my
speed
car.
on that? What's the top speed on that C8? Is it close to 200? Is it 180?
I could ask my son; he would know. He's a car fact freak like that.
Number
But,
guys.
yeah, he loves all that stuff. I think it's probably close to 200. I know the fastest I've ever had it is 176, and that was on a track, of course, close track. But yeah, it was.
I always tell my wife, yeah, I went 140, 55 on the highway today in the car.
Yeah. But yeah, it's probably up there, and I mean, I've got it up there. I know that, and it still drove nice. I mean, it wasn't floating or all over the road and everything like that. So
they're tested at speed, and actually they usually handle better. They're like a motorcycle, right? They actually handle better at speed than they do, lower speeds. And
right.
And if you've never driven a car at that, or a motorcycle is actually even worse. But when you slow down from 140, 150, and dude, I've never driven 170, but up in that upper range, you slow down to like 70 miles an hour, and you're like, I could just get out right now. This is so slow.
It feels like it. No, it does. It does. I know, because I know exactly what. Oh, it does for sure. I know. Like I used to have quite a few crotch rockets when I was younger, and it's the same thing. You get going so fast, and then you slow down to like you hit like a 25 mile an hour side street or something. You're just like you feel like you're turtle. Just
your brain actually can't handle it. Because I had a couple of crotch rockets. I actually wrecked one really bad, but so that's why I don't have them anymore. But yeah, it's like, all right, well, these things will go 185 miles an hour on a motorcycle.
Oh yeah.
Which is freaking nuts. But yeah, you kind of want to. you think you could get off and do your thing. So like with the IBOC thing, was that a connection that you made, or is that like you just?
That was just dumb luck. So I saw them testing some stuff, and I shot a message over to those guys. I was like, "Hey, it'd be cool if you had an extra one to sell or something." And I literally got a message back from them, and they're like, whoever responded, I don't even know the guy's name or lady's name who responded to me. They were like, I think we could do that. And then a few days later in the mail, they sent to my shop. And I'm like, what the hell? This is awesome. But it rode awesome. I mean, they adjusted everything, the spring compression and all that, everything they used in the coilover. It was very tight driving car. So I loved it. That's
awesome.
That was, yeah. That probably never happened again, but that was just pure dumb luck in that case. It was crazy.
Well, I mean, I talked to Alex from Viper on one of these episodes about these relationships and networking and like not asking for stuff, and then people, kind of the generosity of people, and that, I think that's one of those things, right? Like you reached out to them without the anticipation that I'm trying to get something for free.
Mm-hmm.
But then they see the value in that relationship, and then they actually want to give that to you because it's for them, it's like you're posting that crap all over social media. And they definitely got I don't know what the retail is on a kit like that, a few grand.
I don't even know. I didn't bother to look afterwards because they were already on the car and
it's probably, it's got to be $4 or $5 grand for that car, I would guess.
I would imagine. I know there was a few other kits out at the time that are around that. So I probably. So.
But like they put it on a rare-ish car like that, one that's already tricked out and well done and looks perfect, and then so they get the value out of that. So yeah, those relationships are interesting. How are you like? If people don't know Kodie's story and kind of following him as you're doing the rally and some of these things, I mean, dude, you're hanging out with freaking Han and which I've met him. He's actually a super cool guy. Like I've talked to him and spun time. He's like the most normal.
He is.
And what's his actual name? I always call him
Sung.
Han. Yeah, so Sung from Fast and Furious and a variety of other movies. He was Han on Fast and Furious, but you guys got to spend quite a bit of time with him working on his Grand National and a lot of his other cars, right?
Yeah. So he's like you said, he's the most chill, down to earth guy you will ever meet. He's a shoe guy too, and I'm a shoe guy, so that's pretty cool. We like our shoes, but yeah, he's a great guy. We did the Grand National We did Doc Z. We did the Fugazi. Um, but yeah, he's great. I mean, I can't say enough good things about the guy. Like I took my son with me out on one of the trips, and he hung out with my son for most of the day while we worked on his car and got it ready for JCCS, and got my son a bunch of memorabilia and
Nice.
make sure he was having a good time and made me look like super dad, which was awesome. So
yeah, that's always good.
Yeah.
We had an opportunity to meet him. We were doing it was funny because we used to do this pre-SEMA karting event. So we'd go karting before SEMA every year. And it was the year that he led that group of kids in the SEMA garage to build that Maverick. I don't know if you remember that story, but he had like a whole group of kids. And he was kind of mad at us because we had like 40 people there doing karting. And so they had to wait. And so I had an opportunity to kind of joke with him and kind of mess around with him and talk to him for a while. But he's just a super genuinely nice guy. And I mean, if you think about the residuals from that Fast and Furious thing alone, the dude's doing okay, right? Like,
he's definitely doing all right for sure.
So,
but he's got all these little side gigs in his own car world stuff too. He's doing quite a bit, that not a lot of people know about, and it's definitely cool to chit chat with him every once in a while about it.
Yeah, because he's leveraging that celebrity and not like getting super big headed about it or whatever. And I know a bunch of car guys and different levels of celebrity that do the same thing, where it's like, hey, this is this job, but if I do these things, then I not only might go have fun, but I can also earn some additional revenue off of these things and be able to leverage that. But we talked about kind of this how'd you get in here thing. And I'm curious how you, from a business standpoint, like how you get this 105-foot, 104-foot yacht and those kind of things. How are you leveraging those relationships and kind of a not nonchalant, but like you're not expecting to like get something from people. How do you handle yourself in those kind of conversations, those relationships? Because I think that's one of it's a sales tactic, right? Like there's a certain sales tactic that I think a lot of people don't have. Is that something that you were just natural at? I mean, you had some military training and you led people that way and you kind of went through that, but like, how does that work? I'm curious.
I think when you're, I guess, trying to sell something, it's always nice to just kind of talk to the person first as a person, not a customer. And then educating that customer on what they're looking at is always a big plus. If you can, it's almost like the military, simple, stupid. You got to just dumb it down for them, and if they can understand that, they're going to feel a lot more comfortable with what you're doing and potentially doing with their vehicle or their boat, whatever it may be. But just being, genuine and dumbing it down for everybody so they know what's actually going on. I feel like that is, the key, and I feel like I don't do anything special, I don't think, or anything extraordinary in any type of way. I just talk to the people, and if you can find something or some common point with that person and kind of go from there, and it all kind of works itself out, and you're either going to get the job or you're not. And, if you don't, it's not the end of the world because there's potential for something else on the road. But, it's just, keep it simple, dumb it down, and be genuine. And I feel like that goes a long ways,
Yeah. The genuine part of it is, for me, and I feel like that you and I have had these conversations and I've seen you interact with other people, and it's that kind of like, I developed a good skill for this. And I think some people just have a different innate ability to do this, but like figure out where that person is and where I can connect with them and then lean into that connection. Right. And it doesn't, it could be different things. It could be car stuff. It could be family stuff. It could be business, whatever those things are, but be able to reach in and lean into that.
Right. Yeah. Like I said, that common point. Yeah. You want to have that something to build off of. Gotta start somewhere. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, I can't say I have any special skills in that. I just like to talk to people, being genuine. That's it. Don't try and sell someone a snake oil. It just I feel like people respond to the truth better
Hmm.
about like something, like if you're giving them a legit breakdown on whatever product or service you're doing, and the likelihood of whatever outcome, if that's a truthful outcome and or a real outcome, then you're going to be a lot better off in the long run. So.
This episode is brought to you by Detailer's Roadmap. Hey, spoiler alert, that's us. We all know you need a kick-ass website in order to be successful with your business. The good news is at Detailer's Roadmap, kick-ass websites, that's kind of what we do. With the latest performance, designs, and SEO strategies, Detailer's Roadmap is your one-stop shop to be successful on the web. And don't forget, we have the best support team in the industry. Whether you're an existing partner looking to improve your lead generation or you need a brand new website, Detailer's Roadmap is here to help you be successful on the web. So go to detailersroadmap.com/success and get started today. That's detailersroadmap.com/SUCCESS. Yeah, because you're giving them like, this is what I offer. This feels like what you just told me what you needed. Here's I can solve that. Here as I can solve that problem. And I feel confident that I can give it to you. Like if you're not confident you can actually deliver what you're saying, then you probably shouldn't sell that outcome to them because you're just going to be full of it.
Yeah, and I feel like that goes too with like a lot of the products, like you sell or you use or whatever. You want to make sure, that those products are going to stand behind you too as a shop or an individual, whatever you may be, or because at the end of the day, that is a part of what you're selling as your shop or your individual self, and your name's going on that as well. So
yeah,
it's got to stand that test of time. So
yeah, for sure. Hey, I want to shift gears a little bit. We kind of live in this hustle and grind culture, right? Like and just like work above all else, hustle at 2 a.m. or whatever. And one of the things that I'm, and we've had some personal conversations about this that we don't need to get into, but I see your fatherhood role and how you continue to just really foster that and to like make that the priority in your life. And I'm interested to see like, how do you make that happen, right? Like you're running a very successful business. You've got this shop. You're actually working in the shop. You're traveling and all of that. And I know you're not getting it right all the time, right?
Oh no, no one does. You can't. There's no.
But I think it's an important lesson, whether you are single dad like you, or if or if you have a family and you're just kind of putting that aside. Kind of speak to the listeners about like the importance of how you've done it, even how you screwed it up early on, if you did, and kind of how that balance works.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah. First off, I'm definitely not perfect. I don't think any parent is. It's just no one. There's not any right way to do it for sure. And but yeah, my kids are definitely in my life, and you only get to see them grow up once. So
Yeah.
I make sure I can go to as much as I can and try not to miss really anything. Whether it's a conference or like a choir concert or my daughter does gymnastics, so we go to her practices. I go to her competitions. My he was doing football, now he's doing basketball, and so I just make sure I have time to go to all that, and you just got to make time. You can't. Work's work, and at the end of the day there's always going to be more work, and I'm very fortunate in the way that a lot of my customers understand that I am also a father, and I don't think I've ever had a customer say anything bad, like if I have to like leave early or something like that because I'm like, hey, I gotta go get my kids or whatever. They all understand, and most people I feel understand that in general. Like family comes first above all. Because like I said, you only get to see them grow up once, and I want to make sure I'm there for that, and I want to make sure they have those memories of me being there.
Yeah.
So,
and is that something you communicated with your customers? Like, how do you communicate that? Like, because I think so many small business people, especially, are like, look, I can't leave to go to that because I have, quote unquote, have to finish this car, right? Like that's this internal pressure that actually really isn't true for in a lot of cases.
Oh yeah, I feel most people are understanding, especially if you're upfront about it. And for the most part, when it comes to work, like I will go do whatever I'm doing with my kids, and if they end up going with their mom or whatever it may be afterwards, I usually go back into work, and I'll just I'll get the project done and then get it out the door. And most people understand, like they're fine with it. There's
Yeah.
really there's no, I don't think I've honestly ever had a customer get upset about that. Except one time, but this guy wasn't even a good customer, and he after that whole incident, I said some choice words to him, and he wouldn't ever be a customer, because
Yeah. We're not for you, right? We're
yeah,
not.
yeah, yep, yep. When you're sitting here and you're telling me that my child doesn't matter, so that's kind of a see you later. I don't
Yeah.
need your car in my shop, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the most part, you just gotta make time, or rearrange your schedule, and then just work when you can. Because I mean, I know not a lot of people probably have that option or think they have that option, but you do. You
Yeah.
can pick and choose, like, because you can't get that time back with your kids, so you want to make sure you're there. And we've had these talks. We've came from similar backgrounds, or, our
Mm-hmm.
childhoods. So, and just like you're a great dad. It's like
Thanks.
well, yeah, like it's amazing to hear the things that you've done with your kids and for your kids, and it just it's definitely something to strive for sure. Um, but yeah, there's always time. There's always time to go in and get that job done, and
Mm-hmm.
that at the end of the day, that's it's just a job. It's that, and I think the most important job that I have is being a father to my kids, and so I don't want to miss any of that, and I don't.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean,
there's a few
and you
times that I
don't, right?
can, but yeah,
I mean, obviously there'll be certain things, but like, when it
yeah,
comes to marriage and family and kids and all these things, I think we get stuck in this ideology that like we don't have a choice. It's like, well, who's the boss? Well, I'm the boss. I'm like, why don't you ask your boss if you can do that? Like it's
yeah, yeah.
you,
Sometimes he's a jerk,
you're
but
in
yeah,
charge, right? Like, and a
yeah,
lot of times we make the schedule in charge. And again, there's a caveat to everything. Sometimes there are projects that, like, for whatever reason, hey, I'm having this car show. I've got this '57 Chevy that I have to get polished this weekend. Whatever it is, right? Like, there's always going to
hmm
be those. But in general, if you should be able to schedule your life and your business so that the right things in your life win. And you said it
yeah,
very well to say there's always more work, right?
yeah. Exactly, and then that's the truth. At the end of the day, there will always be more work. There's always going to be more cars. There's always, like if you're putting out a good product, and you're just a good genuine person, I feel like those people are going to keep coming back because they know that
Yeah.
they know what service they're getting, and they know the type of person you are, and
Yeah.
at the end of the
Well,
day, they realize. So
and honestly, I think it speaks to two things. I think it speaks to your integrity as a person. And I think most people recognize that, which then gives you credibility for them the way that you do business. And I think honestly, it's either something that they respect, um, even if they don't have it or don't do it, or it's something they desire and respect. Like you could be having an impact on the lives of your customers without even
no,
really knowing it. Say, well, that guy, like, he's not even going to finish my car today, because he needs to go to gymnastics
oh
practice or
yeah,
whatever. Like,
we're
what
there a
am I
lot.
doing in my life with my own kids, right? Like, there's a part of that as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, yeah, my kids are important, man. I love seeing everything they do. It's, you know, that's probably my favorite job of all time.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I feel like, like you're good at things, and being a dad for me, that's the thing I want to be good at, and strive to be better at every day. So,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I could just say from the outside looking in as your friend and be able to watch kind of, over the last 7 years or whatever, continue to see you um, not transition, but like continue to see you strive to be that, yeah, as your most important job. I really value that. I respect it. And I love to see those things. That's really cool. And
thank you.
quite honestly, I think that's a great piece of advice, right? Like this is a great piece of advice to end on is look at your priorities. There are things that you could probably prioritize, and this is a business podcast, right? So it's weird for me to say this, but we've had this. I've actually had this conversation with a guy the other day that just had a brand new baby, and he was going to work like 70 hours this week. I'm like, dude, go home, be with your kid. Like,
that's the best time. You get the baby naps and the chest.
You're right. You gotta go do that. So I think that's a good piece of advice for all of us. So how people learn more about you, follow you, kind of see your adventures, just looking through Kodie's Instagram alone will be like, holy crap, this guy does a lot of fun, awesome stuff. But
yeah, that's it, man. Instagram, we've got Facebook. Instagram is the Detail Shop MI, and shop is SHOPPE or Shoppy, as Eric likes to call it all the time. So,
right.
Facebook's the same thing, just the Detail Shop. Just find us on there. It's a little logo like this, and you'll see it. And yeah, that's I try to stay up to date on that, but it's social media, and that's like I said, there's more important things out there than social media, and a fake highlight reel, as they would say. But
that's right.
So, but yeah, it's all there. So
that's awesome. Yeah, you can go out and learn some stuff, glean some information from him, kind of see. I think it's important to go out and see what you do. And again, like you said, it's a curated highlight reel, of course. But I think it's important to see that you can be successful as a business person while maintaining priorities. I think that's, that might be part of the title for this episode is that, keeping those priorities and being successful as a whole person, not just like I'm a great business person, but my family sucks, or whatever. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, you got to be full circle with it. You gotta make sure it's all congruent, so.
100%.
I don't know.
Well, Kodie, I love you, man. I'm glad that you got on here, and I appreciate you taking the time. And I hope you have an awesome rest of your day.
Back at you, buddy. You as well. Thank you for having me. It's been a blast.
Head over to detailersroadmap.com and get your one-stop success solution today.